campus, you were jumping the rails during Boyle Gold Rush, meeting the students and doing that. Chris has mentioned that your goal is to meet 5,000 students here at Purdue.
Yeah, maybe I'm shooting too low. I don't know. You know, people in the office says they want to know what your New Year's resolution is. I don't make a lot of them. So I had to come up with something, and I thought of that. But you know, then later I thought, well, maybe we should be 10,000. I don't know. I'm pretty well through the first. I got to be in the low thousands already, just from the last few months, and so maybe I should aim higher. As we say. But maybe I'd get one of those little clickers from my belt, you know, count you off. But I mean, in seriousness, let's see, two things. One, any job I ever had, and the longer I went, the more I came to see. It's very important never to get stuck behind a desk or stuck in an inbox, and try to get out and know the folks you're working with. If there are customers, know them. So in different business walks of life, and certainly in the job I just finished, I always made it my business to just force myself out away from the office. And so I'm sure that one way or another that will apply to this job too. And secondly, it is going to be fun. I mean, it's very, I don't mind saying the opportunity to interact with young people on a regular basis, young and smart people, big attraction to the job.
One of the sort of struggles that have been going around, and it's something that we struggle with at Purdue, is the importance of STEM majors and making sure that our students are going into STEM majors and things of that nature. So like the governor of Florida talked about, you know, it would be decreased tuition if somebody went into STEM majors versus, you know, but you come from a liberal arts background, you have a degree in political science, etc. So what is the role, or what do you think the role is of liberal arts at a school like Purdue?
I think it's essential. I mean, I think this may seem an obvious statement, but it has to work in both directions. I don't think technologists, and Purdue does excel in this, engineers and people in the scientific disciplines, won't be fully ready for their careers if they have no grounding at all. If they're not able to communicate, if they don't have grounding in the liberal arts, the principles of a free society, and so forth. And so, for those who do choose a STEM curriculum, I think it's really important, and I hope the core curriculum that the faculty chooses will truly pick core courses in the liberal arts, so that people leave here deep and expert in a STEM discipline, if that's been their choice, but also rounded by that other experience. Now let me argue it the other way. For those who come to Purdue and study something other than STEM as a concentration, what a potentially great advantage. I don't think you can be a literate citizen of this world now without at least some basic scientific understanding. You know, probably more than some of us left college with. It probably wasn't as important then. I've advised so many young people over the last several years, for instance, to make sure you study at least some biology. Not necessarily that you're going to make that a career or anything like it, but just to understand the world, because biology, I believe, is changing, will change the world that you'll move into just the way silicon did, you know, the last 30 years. So I do see Purdue in a Purdue education is really well suited to this time in history, whether you opt for a STEM concentration or something very different.
Do you think we should encourage people to go into STEM and discourage people to go into liberal arts?
Well, I think we should, I'll be honest, I do think we should encourage more young people to look at STEM. That has historically been the case. The nation needs more, for instance, engineers of the kind that Purdue is so renowned for. But it's a very individual choice. I would just say again that those who choose something else, I hope will take full advantage while at Purdue. You'll be a much better reporter if that's where you decide to wind up, if you have some basic grasp of the science of the times. Inevitably you'll have stories where you won't be able to write them critically if you don't know the terms and you don't know the basics. So I personally don't think the answer is to jimmy around with tuition and the rest of that. I mean, I understand the notion or what's probably behind that thinking, but it can also be argued the other way. Our STEM graduates tend to earn higher pay, and therefore have an easier time handling paying off the tuition if they didn't pay for it up front.
What's your worst part-time job you've ever had?
Cleaning a grease trap. It was part of a full-time job. It was part of a summer job. You know what a grease trap is? It's
Yes.
I guess, so this was in a like a grill, and all the grease from all the burgers, thousands of them all, and everything else all went in this one thing, and every once in a while, you'd have to, get somebody to have to clean it out. This was such an awful job that you got the rest of the day off if you would do it, so I always, and part of it also, there were some vents where all this stuff came, and somebody, and I was small enough to do it, had to actually crawl up in there with a spatula and scrape this stuff off the walls.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was grungy. But now that you ask on a part-time job, in college I would do any job, I needed money, and I did a bunch of different ones. And the weirdest one, at least on its effect on me, I was a night watchman at a construction site. And it was frigid winter, and you had to get up, I think it was every half hour, maybe it was every hour, you had to go around and make sure all these butane heaters were working so the mortar wouldn't freeze. And I was just about hallucinating by the time I'd lie down, go to sleep, my little wind-up alarm clock would ring, I'd wake up, get up, walk around, sleep, study. It paid good money, or I wouldn't have done it second night. Not that I have, not that I took it seriously at the time, but I asked that Colbert guy to come do his show here.
Oh,
He was on his show.
You gotta do that. That would be
I'm
awesome.
gonna circle back and try it. I don't know has he ever done it, I don't watch the show, but has he ever done it out of the studio? I was wondering.
I think he has.
I probably wouldn't. During the Super
It's always a
Bowl,
first.
Kimmel did his show from the Circle Theater in Indianapolis. He truly loved it. I mean, it's their job to say nice things, but he really, really loved it. And I think, it'd be really fun. If it's not Colbert, then maybe somebody else. We can try to get somebody else to come out here. It'd be a big hit, I think.